in the past 10 years, I feel like even from 2011, say, to 2021, it does seem like there has been a significant shift. And I'm trying to pinpoint this myself, but I'd be curious to
Hmm.
know if you have any ideas.
Hmm. A part of it might be that we literally are in the fourth quarter,
Mm,
right? So you got to ramp up those efforts if you're going to win that game. And it is a battle. It is a battle between good and evil. And they're pulling out evil, which I believe anything that is not life engendering, right? So, for example, the whole transgender thing is not life engendering at all. It's a part of the plot to destroy the family, because if you castrate, chemically castrate, or allow young people to cut off their body parts when they're young, they're not going to have families.
mm,
They're ruined for life.
yes.
And you see now that there's studies coming out where people who make this decision early in life, they regret it. They grow up and they regret it because they
Yes.
were following some trend, because of all the YouTubers or because of the Netflix and the propaganda that they watch, that confuse children. Are confused. I don't even understand why children even have to confront this. Why does a 10-year-old kid have to confront this even as a question in their life? Well, there's an apparition, a Catholic Marian apparition, that says that the final battle will be for the family. And so we know that we're the final battle, the very final battle, because this is all about sexuality. Is the energetic force behind family, right? That's
Mm,
why we have family. Is sexuality,
mm,
sexuality. And so the greatest perversions that we're seeing right now are literally attacks on our sexuality and attacks on our family. And I don't think you can go any, I don't think it could get any darker. I don't think you can attack anything more fundamental, right? What's more fundamental than the sexual polarity, right? I mean,
mm,
it really animates everything. And so if you're going to attack like the root of what allows the people to thrive, of course, the family has been under attack, but now, and the family's been under attack since 1960s, 1970s, divorce laws and things
mm,
of the nature, and how that has panned out. And 90% of divorces are initiated by women and things of that nature. But right now, the literal attack on what makes a man a man and what makes a woman is chopping at the root of our very nature.
mm,
And so it's got to be that last stand. This is definitely the last battle.
mm. Why is the West in particular so susceptible to this? Because a lot of people say that the world has gone crazy, and I
Mhm.
often correct them, and I'm like, no, it's the West, and especially the Anglosphere. So why do you think that is? I mean, the majority of the world is not dealing with this stuff. Is it just because they have real problems, and we've become too comfortable? Do you think?
Guilt, guilt and shame. If you think about
Mm,
how after the Holocaust, how much shame was poured upon the German people, and how much guilt they held, and it's still rooted in their DNA. And the people
mm,
themselves they're guilt-ridden, shameful people, as a result of their quote unquote genocide. And I'm not
mm,
I'm not questioning whether or not that happened, but the fruits of it bring us to where we are today, in terms of you can't say anything about Jews. The
mhm,
minute you mention the Jew, you are what? Be careful, anti-Semite. Even
mm,
if you're pointing out truth, you're going to be in trouble. You don't say anything about it. And if you're German, you're a Nazi immediately.
mm, mm,
What? Well, you have something to say there, Nazi, right? You want to voice your opinion. You want to step up. You want to say something about how your country's being flooded by immigrants, who are not even immigrants, but these folks that what they call refugees, right?
mhm,
From
mhm,
these countries that are being blown up next door because of imperialism.
mhm.
The industrial, how they call the war machine. Um,
Military industrial complex.
right.
Yeah.
So I suspect, if you look at like the roots of Marxism, the 1917, the Bolshevik Revolution, and then how it unfolded and ended up in the two world wars, and in the entire uh, paradigm, or what's that word? I'm drawing blanks today.
That's okay.
Narrative,
Mhm,
yeah, narrative of the oppressed Jew and the oppressor Nazi. That's kind of a script. That's a script that you can use to oppress a certain type of person, and to sort of topsy turvy the entire culture. And so knowing that you can do that, with maybe something that was present, i.e. the Holocaust, means you could bring up old stuff. You could bring up old stuff and you could do it all over again in a country that maybe didn't have a Holocaust, but say maybe African slavery that happened 400 years ago. So it's like, okay, now how do we create this topsy-turvy where now we make not just Germans, but all white people feel guilty and ashamed for who they are, so that they will very easily bow down, kowtow, and allow themselves to be walked all over and manipulated by the I'm going to say this, but instead of the contrast, but the new Jew, which would be blacks in America, in the West, as well as every other victim class that you create, women. So you got women, you got blacks, and then you have now, which is like is feminist, like feminist, third wave feminism, intersectionality, where it's like, you've created all kinds of fake victim groups, and just like the Jews and the Germans, it's now a matter of, well, we are all oppressed by anybody who's white because 400 years ago, and because you're in charge, and because we're the victim. And so white people are interesting to me because they just take it, they just receive it, they just right. I don't understand. I don't know if it's in their nature because they're nice people or something, but they're just like, oh, okay, well, then we're gonna just bow down. We're gonna kiss the boots. I think the most racism in America right now. The craziest racism is white people against white people. They're racist to themselves. They hate themselves. They're self-loathing, and they attack each other about being. They say it's not even good enough that you're not racist, right? Because most it's not my experience that most people are racist, but it's not even good enough that you're not racist. You have to be actively anti-racist.
Yes.
Now it's created a mess.
Yeah. Now, if you want to get away with anything, you just put the word anti in front of it. So if you want to just get away with being racist, you just call yourself an anti-racist. You want to get away with fascism, call yourself an anti-fascist. You want to get away with anything, just put the anti in front of it, and people will buy it, right? And that's the funniest thing. I mean, I've said this for at least a decade, but the most prevalent racism, sexism, actual misogyny, etc., is not coming from the right. It's coming from the so-called progressives. These are people who literally want to segregate universities. These are people who are trying to allow men to participate in women's sports, who want to allow men to enter female prisons and changing rooms and showers, etc. These are the same people who are literally judging people based on their skin color.
I do not scam. Put some respect on my name.